If you look at, if you look at the data today, anywhere between 500 to 540 million people in the country have internet access. There's probably 400 plus million smartphones in the country. And if you look at the entire world, there is only one country in the world that still has 700 million people that are going to come online in the next decade, and that's India. So I think this presents a suite of very, very exciting opportunities for the technology sector. I think these opportunities and these companies will look very different from what we've seen in the first wave. If the first wave of companies was your horizontal marketplaces, your food delivery businesses, your service marketplaces, e-coms, then I think that the next wave will be a little bit different because the demographic of the user base is very different. If people like us who live in tier one, maybe I would assume most of us are in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, etc., tier one cities. The next wave will be smaller towns, people using local language, needing to use local language and not as comfortable transacting as people like us are. So that's the broad thesis of the fund, is evolving to focus on that segment, that demographic, and the four sectors that I talked about. I'm going to just spend 2 minutes a little bit and talk a little bit about some trends that we see, because I think that's what I was asked to by Nishchay also to spend a few minutes on, and then we can start with some Q&A. So in terms of trends, I think firstly, one of my biggest learnings as an entrepreneur, as an investor, has been that I think technology businesses in emerging markets like India, where most sectors are highly unorganized, right, can scale significantly faster and get a lot more market share than highly organized markets, like example Western markets, right? So I think there's a massive opportunity to work in long tail unorganized sectors, bring those online, and create platforms, whether it's full stack platforms or it's marketplace driven approaches, to create dents in those sectors. That's one. The second thing that I'm seeing a lot of, and unfortunately I don't have too much exposure in this, but we can talk about it, is SaaS businesses, right? So I think that if you look at the late 90s to maybe 2005, 10, still India has been sort of the back office of software development for the world, right? There were companies like TCS, Wipro, and hundreds of other IT services companies that were created to basically create software for the world. But these were, and why? Because we had a massive pool of engineering talent, and the cost base was low. And so there was an arbitrage, there was a labor arbitrage opportunity, which brought all multinational companies to do a lot of their software development back office work here in India. I think that is starting to flip. And I think that this is going to be a big trend going forward, where there is no reason why Indian entrepreneurs cannot create front-facing, innovative products, software products, and take them to the world. Right? Today we have access to capital. There is a technology ecosystem and infrastructure, and Indian entrepreneurs are becoming more and more ambitious to create products and scale them internationally. And I think we've seen that already with a few SaaS products, and we are starting to see that with consumer products as well. So I think this is going to be another big trend going forward. And I think the last trend that I'd like to sort of mention, and then we'll go into some Q&A, is that I think the last maybe 8 to 10 years, right? The world has seen a lot of marketplaces that were created, right? So if you look at, whether you look at an Uber and Airbnb, or you even look at Facebook and Google, these are all effectively marketplaces, right? And I think that what I think is that a full stack approach, right, where maybe there is a little bit more capital expenditure required, but you can give a better SLA to a customer and deliver on the customer promise much stronger than you can in a marketplace. I see the last few years a reversal in that marketplace thinking and going back to full stack. And we have seen that at Droom with a few companies in the auto sector, and we're seeing that with a lot of new direct to consumer brands being created, right? And we're seeing that across other sectors. We have been fortunate to at Madison to invest in one full stack mobility company, which is called YOLO Bus. This is actually the second time that I've had an opportunity to back this entrepreneur. The first time was with GSF. And this is a full stack intercity bus operator. So his vision is to bring the AirAsia model of low cost flying to intercity bus travel, right? Where they give you a technology focused but cutting edge experience and change the way people travel in this country between cities. So those are kind of two or three trends that I see.